Welcome to USA Stories channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. It was my birthday, and all I wanted was a normal day. Nothing extravagant, just a few small signs of happiness. But little did I know that this day would be the one that changed everything. The day my brother Michael gave me a gift that left me in tears, and not the happy kind. I had no idea what to expect. Usually we don't do much for birthdays, just a simple card, maybe a hug. But this year my brother Michael seemed different. He'd been acting a little strange lately, a little more distant. Even though we've always been close, the kind of close where you know each other's thoughts without speaking. So when he handed me that small, oddly shaped box with a nervous smile, I thought nothing of it. Before this story spirals even further, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for more. And when the story ends, don't forget to show your support through likes and comments. It wasn't the size or the wrapping that threw me off. It was the way he was looking at me. It was like he was waiting for something, like he knew something I didn't. I smiled, pretending everything was fine, and opened the box inside. I found something that seemed so simple, yet somehow it felt wrong. It was an old, worn-out trinket, something from our childhood. A small, faded toy car. It was funny, too funny to be serious. I couldn't help but laugh at how odd it was. But my brother Michael's face didn't change. His eyes. They were full of something I couldn't quite place. Guilt, sadness, fear. It was like he was watching me, waiting for my reaction. And that's when it hit me. This was no ordinary gift. I laughed again, trying to brush it off, but the feeling in the pit of my stomach wouldn't go away. Why this toy car? Why now, and why was he acting so strangely? As I held the trinket, memories of our past began flooding back, memories I hadn't thought about in years. It was as if this one gift was unlocking a door I didn't want to open. And that's when my brother Michael said something that stopped my heart. Something so chilling, so out of the blue that I froze. He told me there was a reason he gave me this, a reason I had to understand before it was too late. Now I'm left with more questions than answers. What was the real meaning behind this strange gift? Why now? And what does it all mean for our future? I still don't know. But one thing is certain, that small simple gift was only the beginning of a much bigger story. And the next chapter, it's going to change everything. Stay tuned, because you won't believe what happened next. I sat there holding the tiny car in my hands, my mind racing. It was just a toy, something from our childhood. But the way my brother Michael was staring at me, the tension in his face, told me it was so much more than that. The room felt smaller, quieter, even though the voices of my family carried on in the background. Chatter, laughter, the clicking of plates. I felt like we were in our own bubble, separated from everything else. What do you mean? I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. My brother Michael swallowed hard. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. Instead, he glanced around the room as if making sure no one else was listening. That only made me more nervous. Thesis was never yours, he said. His voice was low, careful. You think it was, but it wasn't. I frowned, my fingers tightening around the toy car that didn't make sense. I remembered playing with it. I remembered carrying it around, stuffing it in my pocket, pretending it was real. It had been my favorite, hadn't it? Before I could ask, my brother Michael leaned in, lowering his voice even more. I found it, he said, a few weeks ago in Mom Sophia's old storage boxes. I felt a shiver crawl up my spine. The storage boxes, the ones we weren't supposed to go through, the ones filled with things our family had either forgotten about or didn't want to remember. Why would this be in there? I asked, my throat suddenly dry. My brother Michael hesitated. I don't know, he admitted. But when I saw it, I knew I had to give it to you. I thought, maybe it would help you remember what I asked. But deep down I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. He looked at me, then really looked at me, and for the first time that night, I saw something in his eyes that sent chills through me. Pity. I don't think this was just a toy, he finally said. I think it means something we forgot. The air around me suddenly felt heavy. My mind was spinning, trying to grasp onto something. Some lost memory, some forgotten detail, but nothing was coming. Just a strange, uneasy feeling that I was about to uncover something I wasn't ready for. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get weirder, my brother Michael pulled something else from his pocket. A small, crumpled piece of paper. You need to read this. he said, his voice barely a whisper. I hesitated. My heart pounded because I already knew whatever was written on that paper. It was going to change everything. My hands felt cold as I reached for the crumpled paper. My brother Michael hesitated before letting it go like he was giving me something dangerous, something that couldn't be undone. Once I read it, the paper was old. The edges torn, the ink slightly faded. I unfolded it carefully. My heart beat loud in my ears. As my eyes scanned the words, I felt a strange mix of confusion and dread. It wasn't a long message, just a few lines written in shaky handwriting, but the meaning behind it sent a chill through my entire body. Find the truth before it finds you. I blinked reading the words again, hoping they'd make more sense the second time, but they didn't. If anything, they only made my stomach twist tighter. What is this? I whispered. My brother Michael ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. I don't know exactly, he admitted. I found it in the same box as the toy car. It was hidden like someone didn't want us to see it. 999 questions rushed into my mind at once. Who wrote this? What truth were they talking about, and why did it feel like this was meant for me? I think it's connected to us, my brother Michael said, watching me closely to our past, maybe even to something we don't remember. The words unsettled me, but deep down I knew he was right. There was something about that toy car, about this note, something buried, something waiting to be uncovered. And for the first time, I wondered if I even wanted to know the truth at all. The air between us felt heavier, like we had stumbled onto something we were never supposed to find. My fingers tightened around the note, my mind racing through possibilities. Who wrote it? Why was it hidden? And most importantly, what truth was I supposed to find? My brother Michael shifted uneasily beside me. I think Mom Sophia knows. He finally said. His words sent a shiver through me. Mom Sophia. She never talked much about our past, only shared fragments, as if whole pieces of our childhood had been erased. There were Mom Sophians, small, almost forgettable Mom Sophians, when I caught glimpses of something unspoken, a hesitation in her voice, a look in her eyes like she was holding something back. What if we ask her? I suggested. Though my voice was unsure, my brother Michael exhaled, shaking his head. She won't tell us. If she wanted us to know, we would have known. By now I hated that he was right. Still, the mystery felt like it was closing in on me. The toy car, the cryptic note, the memories that felt just out of reach. My pulse quickened as a terrifying thought crept in. What if this truth isn't just something we forgot? I asked slowly, what if it's something we were made to forget? Silence. My brother Michael's jaw tightened. He didn't say anything, but I could see it in his eyes. He had thought the same thing. Then, as if the universe wanted to push us forward, a sound broke through the room, a dull thud. We both turned toward the noise. It came from upstairs, from Mom Sophia's room, and for the first time in my life, I was afraid to find out what she was hiding. My brother Michael and I froze, our eyes locked on each other. The sound had come from upstairs, Mom Sophia's room. It wasn't loud, just a soft, heavy thud. But in the tense silence surrounding us, it felt deafening for a Mom Sophiant. Neither of us moved. My grip on the crumpled note tightened, my heart hammering in my C********T. Then, without a word, my brother Michael stood up. Wait, I whispered, but he was already moving. I swallowed hard and followed him, my pulse quickening with each step. The house, once warm and familiar, suddenly felt different. Too quiet, too dark. As we reached the top of the stairs, we hesitated outside Mom Sophia's door. It was slightly open, just enough to see the dim glow of her bedside lamp. My brother Michael knocked softly. Mom Sophia. No answer. He pushed the door open a little more, and that's when we saw it. The box. It was the same box he had found in storage, the one where he discovered the toy car and the note. But now it was sitting in the middle of the room, as if someone had just placed it there. And Mom Sophia, she wasn't in bed, she wasn't anywhere in sight. A chill ran through me. She knew. I whispered. She knew we found it. My brother Michael stepped inside cautiously and knelt beside the box. The lid was slightly ajar. My breath caught in my throat as he slowly lifted it. Inside there were old photographs, letters, and something else, something that made my stomach twist. A small folded piece of fabric. It was soft, pale blue with the faintest trace of embroidery. I reached for it with shaky hands, unfolding it carefully, and then I saw a name stitched neatly into the fabric, but it wasn't my name. It wasn't my brother Michael's name either. It was a name I didn't recognize. My brother Michael looked at me, his face pale. "Who is this?" he whispered. I didn't know, but deep down I felt it. The truth was closer than ever, and whatever it was, it had been hidden from us for a reason. The room felt colder as I stared at the name, embroidered into the fabric. My hands trembled, my mind racing to make sense of it. Who was this, and why had Mom Sophia kept this hidden? My brother Michael and I exchanged a glance, both of us, too afraid to say what we were thinking. Just then we heard footsteps, soft but deliberate. We turned sharply toward the doorway. Mom stood there, her expression unreadable, but there was something in her eyes, something I'd never seen before. "You weren't supposed to find that," she said quietly. Her voice sent a chill through me, not because she sounded angry, but because she sounded sad. Defeated. I swallowed hard. "Who is this?" I held up the fabric, my voice barely steady. Mom exhaled shakily, stepping further into the room. "Sit down," she said. And for the first time in my life, I saw tears in her eyes. "There's something I need to tell you," my brother Michael and I sat bracing ourselves. Mom hesitated before finally speaking. "That name belongs to your twin." I felt my heart stop. "Twin," I shook my head. "Number." "No, that's not possible." Mom looked at me, her face lined with pain. "You don't remember," she whispered, "but you weren't born alone." A sharp pressure built in my C*******, T like my body somehow knew the truth before my mind did. I turned to my brother Michael, but he looked just as stunned. Mom Sophia's voice was barely above a whisper. "He didn't make it." The words hit me like a wave. A twin, a brother Michael I never knew existed my whole life. I had felt like something was missing, like there were gaps in my memories, pieces of myself. I couldn't explain. And now I finally understood why tears burned my eyes. As I looked at the toy car in my hands, it wasn't mine. It was his. That's why it felt familiar and strange at the same time. That's why the note said, "To find the truth." Mom Sophia wiped her eyes. "I didn't tell you because I thought it was kinda to let you forget. But maybe I was wrong." I felt like I couldn't breathe. So much of my life had been built on something incomplete, something hidden from me. And now that I knew the truth, I could never unknown it. But then, just as I thought I had all the answers, my brother Michael spoke. His voice was hollow, distant. "If he didn't make it," he said, slowly, "then why do I remember him?" And just like that, the room fell silent again. Silence filled the room, thick and heavy. I turned to my brother Michael, my heart pounding. "What do you mean? You remember him?" My voice came out in a whisper, but the weight behind it was crushing. He looked pale, his hands clenching into fists. "I don't know," he admitted. I remember playing with someone. I remember sharing things, laughing, talking. But I always thought it was just my imagination." His eyes met mine, full of something I couldn't quite place, but it wasn't. Was it? Mom covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking. "No," she said. Finally, it wasn't a strange feeling washed over me. This entire night had been leading up to this Mom Sophia, and yet it still felt unreal. How could I have had a twin and never known? How could my brother Michael have memories? I didn't. Then something clicked. The toy car, the note, the feeling that something had been just out of reach. I took a shaky breath. "I think he's been with us," I said slowly, my own words surprising me, not physically, but somehow in our memories, in the things we never fully understood. My brother Michael nodded, his expression unreadable. I always felt like someone was there, even when I was alone. Mom Sophia wiped her tears. "I thought I was protecting you both," she admitted. "I thought if you didn't know, you wouldn't feel the pain of losing him. But I was wrong. Some things can't just be erased." I looked down at the small fabric with his name stitched into it. He was real. He was part of us, and maybe in some way he still was. A strange sense of peace settled over me. I had spent my whole life feeling like something was missing. And now I knew why. It wasn't just a mystery. It was a part of who I was, and even though I would never meet him, I would always carry him with me. I reached for my brother Michael's hand, and he squeezed it tightly. Mom Sophia sat beside us, her eyes filled with love and regret. But for the first time, the silence between us didn't feel empty. It If you enjoyed this suspenseful story and want to hear more, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more thrilling content.